Peace, everybody in the ethos, all my peoples out there, um, in the African diaspora, home and abroad. This is the real HD show. No introduction today, but you have reached prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We about to go below the epidermis. It's that dynamic duo giving you what you need to know. Back one more again for Monday Madness because there's a lot going on in the world. But before we do that, let's say what we are. This is prime time with a purpose. And what do? We give you that information. It may be chaotic, but we heal it with freedom music. And the freedom music happens before the show. Because, of course, if I play it on the show, that gives all of these foo-foo dudes and all these foo-foo algorithms a reason to strike my activity and our blessings that we're trying to bestow on people. And they give them a chance to halt the progress. But we're not going to let that happen here. Tune in. I usually put the call letters out before the show. Tune in, and you too can hear some great soulful music. You can hear some conscious hip hop. You can hear a lot of things that put the battery in your back and get you moving for the rest of the 21st century and hopefully beyond, man. We trying to be here forever and ever. You know what I mean? And I got my brother Mozzie with me. Say, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, people? Hotep, free all political prisoners.
Hey, we ain't say that in a minute. That's right. Let me plug in before I get shut down. Let me do that. That's an important thing. Plug it all in and make sure all of the electrical power is working. Before we get started, if you would like to team up, there's a new addition to StreamYard. StreamYard is one of the platforms that help us broadcast. And if you have a show and you would like to team up with the Real HD show and do a joint show so we cross audiences, let me know. And we can do it teams. All I'd have to do is hook it up before the show, get your information, you get my information, you give me permission, I give you permission. Boom, and away we go. What's up to all my peoples and all my channels on Facebook? 5 Facebook channels, WXIR and RCTV. Peace to everybody there. YouTube, we are blasting off. We are blasting off to Twitch.tv. We are blasting off to Twitter. We are blasting off to Instagram. That's why you see the little column-like way that we are designed tonight. And we are on Trovo. We are on Mob Crush. We are on D-Live. And we are everywhere in your atmosphere. We are the Real HD show. No intro tonight because I wanted to get right into it. I didn't want to waste any time. I wanted to get through the things we need to get through early, and that way we can get busy with the main topics of the evening. So let's get into it. Let's pay some bills. Let's get to some black-owned businesses right here. Let's celebrate Total Package Energy. It's a vitamin supplement drink out of a brother out of California. Real dope. Check it out. I'm going to play the clip, and after that, we will get to the show. Real HD show. Check it out. Yeah, man, so that was Total Package Energy. Back to the format that we need. There we go. That was Total Package Energy, black-owned nutrition company. Support them, man. They got a lot of great athletes already on that package. I know Brother Mozzie coaches lacrosse teams, and perhaps they might need some Total Package Energy after a long, hard day. to get them through their lacrosse workouts. It's all natural, no additives, no side effects, just straight great minerals and vitamins, ingredients to give you that little something at the end of a long day so you can keep going and you can be your best. Yeah, man. So we here, Real HD Show. And I was going to, you know what? Should I do the AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser, or do you want to jump right into the stories, brother? Your choice.
No, it's good to start people out with some healthiness, man.
Yes, sir. So let's do that. Let's go to that. I'm going to put the music up, and here we go. All right, check it out. Let me know if you can hear this. If you can, then we are in business. Brother Mozzie, can you hear that?
I do not hear that.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, let me share my screen. That's why I asked. Great things, great things. Okay, let's put it back. Let me share the screen. And we should be in business. Okay, there we go. Yep, there we go. So this is our health and wealth, healthy, wealthier, and wiser AAT report on anything under the air, land, or anything under in the air, land, or sea. We will cover that helps you get better and be well. So this is a report on MCT oil and some of the benefits. Check it out.
MCT oil. And this is something I put in my superfood smoothies in the morning. My wife and I love adding this to our espresso. And Chelsea actually she got an espresso machine for Christmas. So she loves adding her MCT oil in her morning beverages. But all that being said, I love MCT oil. I've recommended it to patients in the past and people I still care for and take care of today. And I think MCT oil, and if you're not real familiar with it, it's basically some of the oils, the MCTs that are pulled from coconut oil that really have some incredible health benefits. And I think it is the ultimate fat that your body loves to burn as fuel. I've seen a lot of athletes, including triathletes and endurance athletes and CrossFitters and just people that work out that really benefit from this as well because it really supports healthy levels of energy within the body. So I love MCT oil for that reason. It's really a natural energy enhancer to me. And a few things also to know about this. MCT oil or MCTs are typically made up of caprylic acid, capric acid, and lauric acid. And myself and Jordan Rubin, we formulated an MCT oil that's certified organic. And along with that, we put in a really unique herb in one of each. We put in turmeric and black seed oil. Now, we put turmeric as a CO2 extract, so it's actually a liposomal turmeric oil. And when we're talking about turmeric, you're familiar with turmeric powder, turmeric tea, or juicing turmeric root, but one that's really potent is a turmeric CO2. So oftentimes it's referred to as an essential oil, but it's actually a CO2 oil that has really high levels of curcumin and turmerone. Now, we know curcumin, it was used essentially in Ayurveda in China, Chinese herbalism, to support healthy levels of inflammation in the body. And it's the same today. We know that curcumin, which is found in turmeric, supports it, but it's especially absorbable when it's in an oil form. Turmeric, we know, one of the most powerful oils on the planet. But again, it's powerful as the root, but when you are able to create a potent oil as we did in this product, our turmeric oil or our MCT oil with turmeric is really powerful for so many things, as well as our turmeric and black seed oil. Black seed oil is beneficial for numerous things. So we picked really two of the most famed and beneficial herbs that were used widely in Ayurveda and Chinese herbalism and put these in the product as well. And we really believe that, of course, MCT oil is powerful, but when you combine them with these liposomal herbs that have these tremendous benefits, it's really taking it to another level. So the way that I love using this oil, I'll put it into a morning smoothie. We'll add it to our morning coffee. In fact, I love adding this to my matcha green tea in the morning as well when I'm doing some matcha. But it's been shown, and I noticed the improvements of as I've recommended this to others for natural energy support. And it's great on a keto diet or not a keto diet, but it's really beneficial for anybody who's looking to get an edge in their nutrition regime. So I hope you've enjoyed this training on really the benefits of MCT oil and how to use it.
All right, that's the Real HD show. Healthy, Wealthy, and Wiser AAT report featuring MCT oil. I have some here. I use it for, I hope everybody can see that. Hope it's not blurry. I use it in my morning coffee, smoothies, different things like that to give you, regulate energy, regulate blood circulation throughout the day. I'm not a spring chicken, so I try to get that in so I remain healthy for, you know, to do everything I got to do during the day and everything along the way. You rock with the coconut oils, brother?
I have not rocked with the coconut oil, but I rock with the black seed oil.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So all of that is there. All of that's good for you. Get that in your life. You'll be better off for it. The turmeric is really dope. You get some spaghetti, throw some turmeric in there along with your whatever other ingredients in there. It has a natural base when it's mixed with tomato sauce. And the MCT oil is some of the healthy oils that you need for your body. And it could counteract the linoleic acid that happens when you do a lot of frying, the fried chicken and the, you know, everything else fried. It will give you that healthy oil that you need so that the body, you know, performs its functions properly with the proper amount of, you know, omega-3s, omega-6s in the oil, and we can combat some of this crazy stuff that they got us out here on in these monkey diets out here. But yeah, man, let's get to it. It's the Real HD show. You want to do a Elders and Ancestors Blueprint? You in the mood, bro?
That'll work.
That'll work. All right, let's get to it. So we got none other than Cassius Clay, the mighty Muhammad Ali, with a word for us tonight. So we're gonna pull that up. We're gonna get that popping. And it's always good to hear from that brother as he transitions.
Frazier, you'll never see Joe Frazier jabbing and faking and backing up, moving.
Oh
aside.
man, you got a surprise coming. You got a surprise coming. You wait till 28.
How you gonna teach old dog new tricks? How you gonna learn some new tricks?
You call him an old dog. Well,
no, you are still agitating. I didn't say that.
No, he called you. I heard it. Didn't he say it?
What you mean a dog? You didn't call me a dog, so you can't teach dogs.
He said an old dog, new tricks. He calls you a bear half the time. He told me at the camp that you sleep with a teddy bear in your bed. Now, I don't make these things up, you know.
That's what he said.
This guy tells me this.
Let's be friends for 1 minute just to get him.
No, come on. Please, come on. No, come on. Oh, no. This is my good...
Let's show him.
Oh, what?
Let's show him. All of the brothers out there watching television,
yeah.
I don't care how mad y'all at each other, when it's come to one of these fellas trying to divide us, we must unite.
Just wanted to show the levity and the genius of the brother Muhammad Ali in one of his more candid moments, making it happen. Your thoughts?
Ali always put it straight, man. That, you know, as much as white America, the I kind of put it, the inbreds may have disliked him. Those who were considered higher level thinking amongst themselves, they appreciated him.
Yeah,
they
man.
Like him, but they appreciated him because he told it like it was.
Yes, sir. He had an energy, he had a vibrance, he had a spirit, you know, and it was just infectious. It was magnetizing, and you couldn't get around it. The brother was just dope. And anytime, go ahead.
And the way he put it, you can't argue. You couldn't argue with him. That's why no one ever argued with him.
Right. And he put it in a comical way to reduce the threat. Although, if you got him in a room by himself, he'd probably tell you a thing or two about what he really meant by that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
he was a brilliant dude, man. He may not have been educated, but he was learned.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was a wise guy, and he knew how to get in and out. He knew how to stick and move. He knew how to rope a dope. You know what I mean? Like, look what he did with his rival. He got him and his rival to have an amnesty and then get at the real source of the problem. You know what I mean? So
yep. And Frazier for some reason just hated Ali.
Yeah,
but
man.
he came to appreciate him later in life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even though his anger wouldn't let him really make amends, he he still came to respect and appreciated a lot of what Ali did, and everybody did. Because listen, nobody's gonna listen, man. That's what black folks got to understand out here who's listening. In the music industry, Chuck Berry, he was the man. When it came to concerts, he got his money. Nobody was getting money like this dude, black or white.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Berry, and if everybody knows the story of Chuck Berry traveled with a suitcase, and this suitcase is where all his cash he got paid.
Mm.
And he would not go on the stage unless he got his money. So he'd roll up in the town. Where's my money? Okay, then I'll perform. He was the first one out there traveling on the music scene, making that kind of money. Second thing, Miles Davis. Miles Davis was the first to get a multi-million-dollar record deal back in the 60s.
Facts.
He got like a $3-4 million in like 1961, 62, or 3, one of those years, where he got like a $3-4 million record deal. And he was on his own. And then the man who really set it off, why of course nobody followed him, was Ray Charles.
Yeah.
Ray Charles said, I get this amount of money and I keep my masters. Keep your masters? What you talking about? You keep your masters? Like, yeah, that's my music. Come from my heart, my soul, my brain, my creativity. I get to keep it.
Take it or leave it.
Another man's thinking.
Take it or leave it. Yeah, man.
You know what they did? He gonna make us so much money. I don't even care.
Right.
And that's the part that a lot of our folks, and don't get me wrong, the young, poor, good kid in the ghetto, as we like to say, he may not get it. And you present them with a nice deal, they struggling at home. It sounds good, he gonna take it. But what you have is, you have guys who's been in the game for a while. After that first album, and you realize you ain't got no money, it's time to try to change the game. And the only way they can change the game of what's been happening is they say, well, I want you to play this kind of music. Okay, well, yeah, I'll play. I'll rap about this all day long and make sure I get my money.
Yes, sir.
But what they fail to realize is that if they rap about some uplifting stuff, in this day and age, we don't need their distribution in their popular radio because we got our own mediums like the Real HD.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Check out Broadcast Beats and get all the music you need. Check that out, man. My sons, I encourage them to get their own agency together, providing them agency rather, to have their own show, their own production, to do their thing, so they can make a footprint and they can make their own mark on things, and no one can tell them what to do with their own music. So check that out. They got a dope show every Sunday night, 7:00. Check that out. They do a lot. They cover all things studio production from the rooter to the tutor. Give them a chance, give them a shot. But I wanted to get at you with that, man, because Muhammad Ali was also, piggybacking off of what you said, Muhammad Ali was also the first $1 million athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah. His Thriller in Manila and Rumble in the Jungle contractually set the tone for all of these multi-million-dollar contracts that NFL, NBA, MLB are receiving today. So we owe that brother a debt of gratitude. Everybody that gets their paycheck and they like them zeros that come after it, you got to give brother Cassius. Clay.
And we got to give it up for our brother Don King,
who
showed us
Breaking Barry
can actually go out there and make it happen for our people. Because it was Don King and Cassius Clay who went out there and made that money.
Powerhouse.
And then what people don't understand, they had the Rumble in the Jungle down in Zaire. They had the Thriller in Manila. They weren't American world champions. They were world champions.
World champions, yes.
So I'm gonna take this fight, and we're gonna go someplace where you can't say I had a home field advantage or anything of that nature. We about to throw down. We about to both get paid, and that's one of the things that a lot of guys respected about Ali was that Ali's gonna make you some money. George Foreman, although his ego, didn't really allow him to understand what was going on until later in life. But that's what he said. He's like, listen, man, if it wasn't for Ali, I wouldn't have made this kind of money. And he gave me the blueprint on how to get out here, because the George Foreman grill was all based on that whole, the blueprint was laid out by Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir. So we're here. It's the Real HD Show, the higher discussion, and we're attempting to have a really, really stimulated conversation tonight so that we can determine where we're going in this future. Afrofuturism on deck at the Real HD Show. That was just the Elders and Ancestors Blueprint featuring Muhammad Ali, the dynamic man that he was. And just like I promised last week, I said we would get right to it. Power to the People news. And we're going to jump right back into this here. Former Atlanta fire chief scrutinized for saying slavery was part of God's divine plan. So let's wrap this up, brother, because I know we kind of got, caught up when, trying to, stay true to the time and be efficient. And you had brought up you and Brother Marcus were kind of having a little bit of a disagreement about it. And Brother Marcus said his piece. It's your voice, your victory on the Real HD. No echo chambers here. Come on through, drop what you drop, say what you say. But we got it going on right here on the Real HD Show. Best conversation you could have on a Monday night. Drop the Netflix for a minute, hang out with us. Do you have anything else to contribute to that conversation? Because I know that conversation runs deep, man. That conversation stings. It runs deep. It hits right in the heart of Christendom in America, especially them baptized black folk. They consider to be valuable information that they need to adhere to, or cultural, enclaves that they need to genuflect towards. What say you about the Atlanta fire chief and his bombastic statements? What do you think, brother?
I'm not mad at him because he know not what he says, and he know not what he knows. He's the perfect, how can I put it? He's the perfect, brainwashed, brain dead, person who follows. We've been taught, have faith and don't follow. Those who have a Christian faith and Islamic faith. Although they tell you to, question, to be independent thinking, they'll quickly show you in another verse of another chapter or verse where you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just have faith and believe. And the problem with us is we've drank the Kool-Aid and we've allowed for something that's foreign to us dictate and control us.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that people don't understand is when you get, a lot of people ride around with the fish on their car, and they liken that to Jesus, feeding people fish and all that other kind of stuff. But what that really is that we are coming out of the age of Pisces. Ooh. That's what that really stands for.
Yes,
as you deal with astrotheology. And the thing about the Pisces and the fish is the fish is always being in control. You can control the fish. You put the fish, when you have fish at home, what do? Put them in a little tank. And they're limited on where they can go and what they can do. And what do you do with them? Every day you come over and you get ready to hover like that, they race to the top to get their victuals. And that's kind of what, what is going on when you start dealing with our folks who start talking like that. They're the fish in the tank being controlled. And that's basically what the past 2,000 years have been about. It's been about controlling the people. Now, as we move into the age of Aquarius, it's the age of information. And so the world is different now. That's why we got AI. That's why we got, the internet has exploded. That's why, data and information is at your fingertips. You just got to look for it. But if you're still stuck in that Piscean age, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a good Christian or good Muslim. And you're going to follow, you're going to say things that are crazy. And remember too, man, is he has people in his corner that don't look like us. Because in order to rise to rank as a fire chief in an area in a big city, you have to have the various powers that be, who typically ain't us, to allow him to ascend to that level. So, he's already shown by the time he got to that level that he was a mouthpiece. And like I said, man, that statement I made about if your master and savior, you remember that statement I made?
Yeah, I wanted you to repeat that.
Oh, why you ain't say that, man? I said, if your master and your savior is the same as your, oh shoot, I forgot the saying already. Your master and savior. It's been a rough week already, man.
Same as your, is it what? Same as your oppressor?
Yeah, it's the same as your, no, wait a minute. No, if your God and savior is the same as your master and enslaver, you become the principal agent in your own destruction.
Yes, sir. As the thinker thinketh, the prover will prove. You know what I mean? You will go out your way to march in the army of your beliefs. Always keep growing, always keep adapting, always keep improving your knowledge and your skill set. Real HD show. So not to get too far in ahead with this article here, but if anybody wants to know why that is false, you could check out things like the Council of Nicaea. You could read about that. You could read about the Flavian emperors and Josephus and their influence on the Bible. You can even
Chalcedon 1 and 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and you can even read about Sam Cartwright and his influence in his writings on the Negro slave and what he reported about the Negro slave and how people just adapted that as truth. So check that out. Get back to the Real HD show. Put it in the chat. Let us know what you think about those things. And we are moving on. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Just read a story that Michael Jackson could have bought Marvel. Did you read this, bro? Did you hear about this?
Yeah. Didn't I send you the I think that was one of the links that I sent you. I don't know if you got that or not.
Yeah, I got it.
I know I was probably bombarding you with a bunch of links.
Nah, you good, brother. You good.
But that was one of them.
Show
where he
Michelle.
was talking about.
Go ahead.
Where he was talking about, buying up Marvel,
Right,
and what it could have done, and what it would have been. And that was one of the, and what people don't understand is, yes, Michael drank the Kool-Aid. But one thing about Michael, he was he understood the world. He understood this game that we were in. And he knew that in order to beat a man, he had to beat a man. And so he was making moves. Think about that. Here you are, you doing the song Ebony and Ivory. No, it wasn't. He didn't do Ebony and Ivory. Whatever that song he did with Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he did another song with Paul McCartney, and then Paul McCartney stopped talking to him. He's like, yo, why Paul McCartney being that way? Then you found out, oh, Paul don't like it when now he know how we feel when people own your shit.
Right.
Right up from underneath you. Here we are, we sitting here jamming together. And see, it's okay for them to do that, because if Paul would have did that to him, it wouldn't have been a big deal. It would just been a good investment. For Mike, it was a good investment. Buy the Beatles catalog.
Yeah, man. Let me read a little byline, man, and then maybe we can get into it. As bizarre as it may sound, Michael Jackson truly did try to purchase Marvel in the 90s. This was previously revealed by the late Marvel comic legend Stan Lee. Now, Jackson's nephew, Taj, in an interview, details some of what happened during this odd time, including revealing that Michael Jackson was attempting to do this with Stan Lee. Besides Spider-Man, he was a huge Marvel fan. He knew all the characters, so it was not only Spider-Man, but oh yeah, he probably wanted to be Spider-Man. So yeah. So I'm just looking at this, and there's a clip about it. Should I play it?
Play it.
Hey, brother Marcus, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing, brothers?
How you doing, man? Get ready to play this clip. Give me 1 second, and then we can get after it. Tell me, copied it. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Ozzy's Instagram, Facebook joint, because Mozzie sends me 1,000 videos that are all dope. Matter of fact, I thought about giving you a segment, bro, called Blacktastic Videos by Brother Mozzie.
There you go.
And show all the dope clips that Brother Mozzie gives us to contribute to the show, because they all great. And I know I don't always have time to look at all of them, but I wish I did. So let me see if I can find a Michael Jackson clip. We're talking about Michael Jackson's attempt at buying Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Got it. Let me open it up. Share the screen. Bear with me, family. Bear with me. I'm trying to put this on for you so you can get it. There we go. Sound?
1 or 2, I think it was. Let's listen to this.
We could easily go into Universal and buy. We would own Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters, all the classics from Universal. Own all of that stuff. And that will allow us to do a channel. Part of the Marvel channel can be not only the Marvel characters, but Marvel films, like the catalog. We could do anything we want, from restaurants to retail, theme parks.
Now, you actually got the financing in place, I believe, for this deal. Then came the scandal court cases, and it all got put on the back burner. Disney ended up buying Marvel and doing exactly what Michael had predicted and making a fortune at it. Tell me about it.
Sounds familiar?
Sounds like just about every time.
And that happened to a few other folks out there who tried to, think about it. Sam
Prince
Cooke. What did
also
Sam
comes
Cooke
to
try to
mind.
do?
Say it again. We got to talk one at a time because it all comes out sounding like Charlie Brown.
Oh, I said, sounds familiar. What did Sam Cooke try to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What did Prince try to do?
Bill Cosby.
The Cos.
Yep. Same thing. I was just going. You stole my thunder. Yep.
So, there are people who look like us, man. That when they start making major moves, things happen to them.
Brother Marcus, how do you feel about the King of Pop trying to buy Marvel versus what's going on currently with it? Do you think he would have been more of a traditionalist to what the Marvel legacy was all about and what Stan Lee was trying to do with some of the characters in Marvel, or do you think he would have gone woke? What do you think?
No way. Honestly, if Stan Lee was alive still, I don't think he would have let it happen like this either. It's gone considerably too far. It's bastardized the legacy of Marvel Comics. It's really, really destroyed the initial vision and standpoint in which they came from. He would have kept it more traditional as far as Michael goes. Michael wouldn't have gone for any of this insanity that's going on right now, because he would have seen it as it being just morally wrong. And no matter how you feel about Michael Jackson one way or another, he had very strong morals and values. And this would definitely run contrary to what he believed would be righteous.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me throw another one out there for you.
Go ahead.
Everybody look up the book. Why should all the white guys have all the fun?
Yeah.
Reginald Lewis.
Absolutely. Yeah.
First person.
Great read, by the way. That's a great
great story on that, brother, because he was one of the first attorneys that was engaging in leveraged buyouts.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody understand investing in companies buying other companies, you had various guys out there like the Carl Icahns and all of them. They go raid countries, engage in leverage buyout. But this man was he was a businessman, but he was a lawyer by trade. And he understood how all this stuff works. And he set himself up to buy Beatrice Food, $1 billion food company. At that time, it was $1 billion. So you can only imagine what it's worth now.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Somehow, this brother died in his 40s, early to mid 40s.
Just a matter of fact,
when we making moves, things happen.
Yeah, man. It always reminds me of like the how they would like to take your creativity, your ingenuity, and then put it into their own profit revenue gaining scenario, and then act like they invented the wheel. Like the Asian, we had the clip of the Asian woman in the last show and what she had to say about inventions throughout the course of time. And how, melanated folks don't get the credit for what they invented across the world. And, it's very, very interesting, man. So I thought I'd bring that up to make a lot of various points. And if you want to say something to this effect about MJ, Michael Jackson, and what you think he would have done with Marvel Comics should he had bought it like he was intended to, I welcome your comments. Put them in the comments section, and we will debut them. And if not, we don't get them till the next show. We'll show them next show on the Real HD Show. Marvel Comics, just comics in general, were interesting because if you were a little child, and I don't know how far you go back, Marcus, but it was a real source of like education that was fun. It taught you how to read. You had fun reading and learning how to read.
You know, go ahead.
No, it provided a source of education beyond the classroom that was non-invasive. It was fun, and it made you want to be involved in the literary world. And then from there, you go on to bigger and greater heights and greater amounts of reading. I know that's what happened for me.
For me, it was cartoon. It was reading the comic books.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of stories if we comb the people. I'm sure there's plenty of stories of people that will thank comics for how they grew up. And do you have a relationship with comic books, Brother Marcus, or is that
so? I wasn't very big into comic books, but I did have a nice little collection.
Okay.
I think that my generation would more so, while comic books are a big thing, but a better descriptor would probably be anime.
Okay.
So with anime, the thing that I don't like most about anime, right, is almost all anime, and if you're not familiar with anime, whoever is out there listening, you know it's Japanese animation, things like Dragon Ball Z, per se. So those shows, all of them, a lot of them end very quickly. You know, like they'll have like 13 episodes, and it'll be fantastic, and they'll be like, go read the manga. So like the manga is like a cartoon, is like a comic book, right? Except it's more than a comic book. It's like more so you'd consider it a graphic novel, because that's how thick they are, and all of them are chapters and series is long. And so a lot of people in my generation really got into that. There's still a lot of people into comic books and stuff like that. Comic books are still very, very popular. They're less heavy as far as reading goes from manga. But when we're talking about stuff that you take in when you're a youth, you know, like for instance, cartoons was a big impact on me. You know, we still had a little bit of Saturday morning cartoons when I was little, at least for a couple years before they got rid of those. And at the end of the cartoons, you know, when it started to get to the end of the era of Saturday morning cartoons, they started having crazy stuff on there. Like, I'll give you an example. So like, I used to like stuff, Ninja Turtles, you know what I'm saying? I used to like all types of other things. Dragon Ball Z was on at the time. What was it? What Johnny Quest, stuff like that. The new adventures of Johnny Quest. Let me make sure I'm clear on that, right? Because Johnny Quest goes way back. But you know, Mighty Max, you know, stuff like that. They had heroes, they had villains. They taught you the importance of friendship, teamwork, morals, values, things like that. Matter of fact, one was like, what was it? I think it was Mighty Max. Like it had like Virgil was one of the characters on it. It might have been another one, you know, and like they're teaching like lessons in the stuff that you're watching, you know. Then when it starts to get towards the end of cartoons on Saturday morning, they had like the Bratz on it, you know. The Bratz had their own cartoon. And I remember one episode, I'm not a girl, you know what I'm saying? I don't girl toys, none of that. But I was flipping through, and I want to say it was on Fox, right? And Bratz, the girl got hit in her nose, right, with like a volleyball, right? And she said, "Oh my God, my new nose job." And I'm like, "What?" I'm taken aback, right? Because what is the age range for Saturday morning cartoons, right? Like middle school, elementary school, like this is what you're teaching the youth, you know, body dysmorphia, to that you need a new nose job so that you can fit in, or you can look good, or you can be fancy, or whatever the case is.
Right.
Like, and stuff.
Go out and get a BBL or something, right?
Yeah, no, but right. That's exactly what it is. What we would establish it to be now, you know? And this is what we see. And this is more so being pushed in what children see every day in the media. You know, even in the programs, Coco Melon and all of this other stuff that they have the small children watch. There's some show on Netflix, right? It's like for like 4 or 5 really, really small toddlers. And they got a non-binary horse character on there. Are you outside of the world? What is going on here?
Right.
Where are the morals and values to be taught to the youth? Like, if this is what they're learning, like, it's no wonder they're growing up so corrupted, so lost. They don't know whether they're going or coming. They don't know who they are. They have no set values. And this is part of the destruction of not only society, but also of the family and of the fabric of moral society. And that's why if Michael would have been able to build out Marvel the way that he wanted, he would have created a more holistic environment for the youth, something that would make them feel comfortable, something that would maintain their childhood innocence and teach them good morals and values, because that to him was very important, because he basically lost his whole childhood. And he wanted to make sure that other children didn't have to live that type of an experience and that type of a life, so that they could have some enjoyment, so that they could have some sort of holistic, right? Wholesome. That's what the word I'm looking for. Wholesome environment, you know, and that's not what we're getting from any of the media, social media, Facebook, Instagram today. Like you said, everything's about Brazilian butt lifts and who could twerk the best and whose morals and values are more depraved and more dilapidated. And that's where we are in society, and it's bad. What's your take, Ozzy?
Well, my take is I do enjoy the old school cartoons. You know, I remember when, and mainly the comic books, you know, I remember as a kid, you know, I got a couple years on both of y'all, but, you know, Inch Eye, Private Eye, there was investigative stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Too. Yeah.
Jabberjaws, you know, there was always the great mystery. So, you know, you had stuff like that I watched, but then I also was into my my comic books. And in the comic books, you know, you watching the X-Men series, you know, people didn't realize that, you know, in so many ways, they were talking about us.
Yeah.
And in the future, and the thing about what was interesting about the comics and X-Men was, in order for them to solve the problems of the current problems, they had to go to the future and bring back who? They had to bring back the brother.
Yeah.
Great sage at that time when he went to the future.
Cable.
Was an old brother who had great
Cable,
you know what I'm saying? Had the bald head.
Yeah.
And with the special powers, Bishop was a brother.
Bishop, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Bishop was a trip.
These cartoons, and here's something I don't think people notice now.
The
stuff they put out now is out of control. But whenever you watch television, they don't cast us in many roles. But whenever you watch these Terminator, any of these movies that has a futuristic component, the savior or the person that created, who always provided that piece of knowledge, that piece of technology, that understanding something to solve the problems and the ills of the future, always look like us. It's the only role we got in the picture.
Yeah, man, they did that in the Loki series. So of course, Loki was supposed to that's a spinoff of the Thor and the Avengers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Loki broke off, got his own series, and then he's in the time department basically, and he's kind of meandering around time and space, and then he meets the final arbiter of time. It's Kang the Conqueror.
Kang's a trip.
Kang the Conqueror, looking like Jonathan Majors, you know what I mean? So it's very, very interesting. And then the Shazam story is the same way. If you go back to Shazam's origin story, same thing. So it's very, 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 very interesting. The He-Man origin story, same thing. So, you know, it's interesting how these things play out, man. But let's get to the main meat of why we're here. So I'm going to throw a clip up for you guys, volleyball, and I want you guys to take it apart and tell me what you guys get out of it. Real HD show. Check it out.
About Europe's hypocrisy, all the lectures and criticism heaped on India for buying Russian oil. But now let's look at how Europe is still doing deals with Russia. What's the value of Russian goods shipped to Europe from March 2022, when the war began, to January 2023? The EU imported Russian goods worth $186 billion. Not only is Europe not sanctioning Russian gas, it is also buying more of it. 2021, the EU imported 16 billion cubic meters of Russian gas. Do you know what the figure was in 2022? 22 billion cubic meters. Last year, the EU imported nuclear products worth nearly $814 million. In 2022, the EU bought diamonds worth $1.52 billion. The EU spends $2.82 billion on Russian fertilizers. Major Russian companies have been kept out of sanctions. So this is the reality of European sanctions. It's a classic case of cherry picking.
All right. So somebody capping. I thought Russia was the boogeyman, but they doing plenty of business.
Here's the deal. It depends on really how long you want to get into that, because I can't stand her right there. I can't stand her. I can't stand her channel. I can't stand them because they're very anti-America. And they got some iffy stuff with them to begin with. That's WeOn News. World is one.
But she's not on WeOn anymore. She's on First Post. So she left WeOn.
Yeah, First. I can't. What's her name? Viveka Shiva, something like that. I can't stand her.
The statistics are correct, though. We got
they're right. So Japan today. They said that they're going to go buy more oil from Russia, and they're going to buy it in rubles. So this is the direction that we're going. Russia's gotten rich while we're over here on TV. What's really going on is they're lying to us. Everything that we see on TV is, what do you call it? Government propaganda, you know? So all we're seeing is what they want us to see, and what they want us to think is being indoctrinated into our heads. Russia's the big bad. Russia's not the big bad. That whole incident started over there because they're over there killing Russians and they're bringing back the Nazis. It's out of control. I don't know if you saw the other day, they over there burning down churches, kidnapping Orthodox Christians and stuff like that. They just had a video that surfaced the other day where they put one of the Orthodox priests on ankle monitor. So this is what's really going on over there. What happened is that Eastern Ukraine, where the whole everything's going on, you know, Crimea, Donbass, Luhansk, all of that except Luhansk. It was Donbass and Crimea were supposed to get their autonomy, right? Basically their independence, but they're operating on their own back in, I want to say 2014. Don't quote me on the year. I want to say that's the year of the, oh my goodness, I was just talking about this earlier. Of the, oh man, it's escaping me. Anyway, there's a treaty that was around then that basically gave them their autonomy. The U.S. basically allowed Ukraine to go back on it, and that's what started the whole Crimea War. And that's when Russia went up in there. So really what it was is it was us not honoring what we said that we were going to do. Also, we've been encroaching on pushing NATO further and further and further to Russia. It's no wonder they don't want them on their flank right there. Okay, because when Russia dissolved the Warsaw Pact, we promised them that we weren't going to push NATO any further towards their area in the east, because Russia, the way that their ground is, they basically live on the plains. Okay, most of their population lives on the plains. So if they don't have the Warsaw Pact, which would be the old Iron Curtain, all of those states, including Ukraine, that were once part of the USSR, okay, they don't really have any defensible land. Everything, you can just roll a tank right up in there, okay? And this is why Russia's mad now. They're like, listen, y'all keep encroaching on us. Y'all keep trying to square off on us. Y'all need to stay up out of our yard. And this is what made Russia so angry. And now they're talking about, oh, we're going to possibly bring Ukraine into NATO. And they're over there right now killing freaking Russians, ethnic Russians. Let me be very clear. Okay. Because the people on the east of Ukraine are ethnic Russian. Okay. So they've been trying to basically eradicate them, treat them all bad like second-class citizens, but worse. And Russia was like, we don't really agree with this. And the people asked Russia for help. And Russia says, sure, we'll help because you're our people. Russia called it a special military, what they call it? Special military operation, right? They didn't call it a war. It wasn't an invasion, because if they invaded Ukraine, it would have been over. Zelensky would have been dead. Ukraine would have been in ashes. It would have been over in a week. Okay, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was to liberate the areas in which they wanted to have free, which they were already supposed to have their own freedom. Now Biden and put all these sanctions and everything up, and the only thing that's happened is our value of our dollar has gone down. Russia's ruble has gone through the roof, skyrocketed. Their money's worth way more than when the whole thing started. They got all of these new alliances with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, Iran, China. Now Mexico's talking about they want to join the alliance too. Half of South America's in the alliance. About 14 African nations are in the alliance. Like now that China's done brokered a peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia, we're getting pushed out. 34 countries have already stopped using the US dollar as their trading currency. We're in very dire straits.
So we getting ahead of the daily schedule program, my brother. But
my bad.
But we gonna get to it though. What's up with the capping on the sanctions, man? I thought they was following Uncle Joe. How you still doing billions in business all over Europe if these sanctions supposed to be in place, brother Mozzie? What you think? What's up with the capping on the sanctions? They buying diamonds. They buying commodities, they buying oil, they buying imported goods from Russia. What's up with the capping? What's up with the European NATO capping? What's up with that?
Europe got to do what Europe got to do for Europe.
That part.
They say if history is our teacher, we know that the U.S. is going to look out for the U.S. So we need to look out for ourselves. That's why they created the European Union, because the Europeans in Western Europe in particular want to make sure that their interests at all times were looked out for. And we're the only ones who's running around here playing this, this game where we just caught up in everything but what's going on this planet. And that's just it in a nutshell.
Yes, sir. That's why I titled the name of the episode "Deep Fakes." Because I was going to get into all of those other stories about Trump and Candace Owens and the woke woman who can't define woke, all of that. But
all a smoke screen.
It's all a smoke screen, right?
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Here's another tennis ball in the air for y'all to volley. Brother Marcus already teed it up, but let's get to it. Let's talk about it.
What's to talk about? These are all the countries where we seem like we couldn't get along with them. You either do it the way we want you to do it, or we don't want to be bothered. And now you got the 100-year reign of America is over.
We really weren't paying attention, and this is what's going to happen with Taiwan is next to go.
We paid attention. Okay. We paid attention.
Taiwan is next to fall. Here's the deal. China says they had a 100-year plan to take over the world. Their major first phase of their plan, I shouldn't say first, it's actually the second phase, but is to control 45% of the production of the world by 2030, 2035, and they're well on their way there. Now, what we are seeing is they're making all of these economic ties and economic alliances. If you take places like Japan, which and stuff like that. Look at Japan's number one trading partner, it's China. Look at Taiwan's number one trading partner, it's China. Look at Vietnam's number one trading partner, China. And I could go on, you know what I'm saying? Australia, right? Number one trading partner, China. So all China's got to do is like, we're not going to sell you stuff.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. But why can't America be the #1 trading partner?
Well, it's about regionality, especially in the South Pacific. But two, we could, if we work back on rebuilding our #1 manufacturing status and improved our shipping and stop focusing on woke nonsense like in environmental social governance and diversity, inclusion, and equity and climate change. All of it's a smokescreen to put us all imprison us all in cities and in internment camps, so that the people that are at the top of the pyramid, the elites on both sides, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter, they all the same cousins, and that they really can have greater control over everything.
So
that's all it is.
So you're saying, for example, lakes that are in the Southwest that have dried up, that's not an environmental problem?
So the lakes that are in the South, so you got a couple of instances there and a couple of different things to talk about. But largely you're talking about mismanagement of water resources, not that it's got anything to do with climate. It's largely the things that they've chosen to put in place, the standards that they've tried to hold. Oh, it's environment this, it's environment that, because they love to use that as an excuse so that they can mismanage the resources. Like, for instance, in California is the best example you can get recently, where they had all of that deluge of water, all the rain, all the snow and everything, and they just letting millions of liters a minute go into the ocean. But I thought you had a drought. Why aren't you doing your best to capture that water? Because the fact is that everything is about mismanagement. It's a smoke screen, so that we don't see what's going on. Then now they got what'd you say?
Question for you. With all that rain and water that recently happened in the Southwest, what do you think they could have done that would have captured the amount of rain that had fell? And how long did you think it would have took them to put the measures in place to capture all of that water?
Well, for the 30 years they've had 30 years to do something about it. Now, wouldn't you agree? The plan for such an event. So this is
repeat what you said. We missed about 5 seconds. We missed about 5 seconds of what you said.
I said for the 30 years of this drought that they so claim that they've had 30 years to prepare for that, have they not?
Well, if you're in a drought, how are you going to prepare for weather to go the other direction in abundance?
It's all a lie. It's all being played. The fact of the matter is remember they used to say that the government. Okay, we know that the government's been able to control different weather patterns and things since the early 1900s. We saw it at play in Vietnam, where they would seed the clouds to increase the rainfall in Vietnam, so that it would create more issues for people that were over there. We've seen it. We've got the documents. You can look it up online. Like, this isn't hidden top secret information anymore. So now we've got places like the United Arab Emirates, where they make it rain once a week there, using geoengineering. Right? They don't call it weather change anymore. They call it geoengineering. China geoengineered area the size of Texas. Okay, Saudi Arabia is geoengineering areas over in Saudi Arabia right now, creating the largest park ever. That's a whole nother crazy nonsense. But we see that they have these powers and these abilities, and these are foreign countries, right, that are not as advanced as us. You know, they're taking plays out of our playbook. We're way more advanced at that, and we could really actually do something. You think all of these things, these amazing environmental events and disasters are happening by mistake? No, that's because they can't leave nothing alone in the atmosphere and in the weather. Now, you got two questions. Are they doing it? That's question number one. Or two, is it an outcome of stuff that they've been doing that they ain't got no business? Could be either, could be both.
Hey man, if you just tuned in, you are watching, we're in the 9 o'clock. Yep, we right in the 9 o'clock hour. You are watching the Real HD show. It's the higher discussion, and we are talking about BRICS, the the pact between, what is it? Brazil, Russia,
India, China, and Saudi Arabia.
South
Africa, right?
South Africa. You're right. Yep, you're right. South Africa.
And China has been able to get Saudi Arabia and Iran, who were bitter enemies for years, to agree to be friends again and join the BRICS nations. Part of that has to do with the fact that when you look at America, a couple things have happened. One, American imperialism, American economic hit squads, the CIA and destabilization across the planet. People are tired of America.
SWIFT, right? Yeah, SWIFT.
The second thing is why we were so busy caught up with a psychopathic racial personality. Their neighbors talked about a global economy. The rest of the world wasn't talking about no global economy. The rest of the world was always talking about regionalism. But America, they can dictate what goes on the planet. So we decided we're going to place like China. We're going to outsource all our work, displace our workers, because America's built on thievery, trickery, and exploitation. And they continued it till this day. And so now you're starting to see the effects of it. You lie to people. You don't treat your people right. You rather take care of somebody else and have them come to your house and tell them how good they got it. And then now they're going back home and say, oh, look what we got now. And these are nations who are tired of dealing with the U.S. two-facedness, lies, backstabbing, just untrustworthy people, period. And so now the American population is going to have to suffer because most of America, now I won't even say most, but a good chunk of America, those who were in the upper echelons who control the information, who controls the economic activity, they were greedy and selfish and exploitative. Now they're starting to suffer the consequences because the individuals that they exploited, not just those here in the U.S., but abroad, because we had no problem of having China set up those factories over there and people are getting paid, $5 a day. We ain't no problem with that. So now they're like, you know what? We tired of dealing with your nonsense, America. And now you have to deal with the consequences.
Here's a quick clip. Let's play a quick clip. Real HD Show.
Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they're in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley.
All right, we're back. Real HD Show. So that was a clip about BRICS to give a little context to it. And so it sounds like we had the episode where we saw that India is already on the CBDC, their own, using the rupee. And then you heard about the context of how they're going to insert that dollar into other economies. Do you think this central digital dollar will rival the digital dollar of the WEF and the NATO countries? What do you guys think?
I think it will rival it. But part of what you find,
I don't think it'll be
is that you got the good old boys are doing everything they can to make sure we don't go to that digital currency. But it ain't gonna happen. They're not gonna stop it.
So I think that it's going to create two parallel economies. and it's going to be the U.S. getting the shaft and the rest of the world going in a different direction.
Well, why would the U.S. get the
honestly,
shaft? They're big, powerful, and almighty America. Why would they get the shaft?
Because the people in power are stupid and greedy. Let me not say stupid, right?
That ain't the reason.
Let me say short-sighted and greedy. Okay.
That ain't the reason either.
Okay, well, what do you think the reason is? Because I don't want to continue first. I want to hear what you got to say.
Because people in America are politically unsophisticated and internationally illiterate.
Is that different than what I said?
There is a difference, because you're placing it on various individuals in office, and I'm saying America as a whole, the people.
Oh, well, that's fair. I just
subscribing to all the nonsense. You know, it's we got to have Trump in power because Trump is this, or we got to have Joe in power because, you know, Joe is this. The reality is people in America love going to Walmart. And when Walmart said, we are making these clothes in America, woohoo, got everybody to go there. And then they slickly went on and started making it in Indonesia, India, Korea, then in China.
So it's interesting that you say that. It's interesting that you say that because there's a report out now that Walmart is getting ready to close 269 stores nationwide.
People are Walmart fatigued, and they realize
right at the time of this, they closing 269 stores. Brother Mark, what say you? You seem like you got something right on the tip of your tongue. Go ahead, bro.
Well, it's again, and I hate to belabor the point. This is all about power and control for our government, and it's not even just our government. It's the weird nations, you know, the Western industrialized, rich, educated, democratic nations. Not in that order, but yes, that's really what it is. It's these ridiculous elites, the old school blue bloods that are all in power, that are trying to consolidate their power, that are trying to depopulate the planet because they want to tell you that there are too many people there, because all that they want is more power and control. According to them, we use up too much resources. There's too much of us mouth breathers. That's why they gotta breathers. So that's why they gotta take the carbon out of the air and all this other nonsense. And really, it boils down to one thing: power and control. If you can make it so that people do not easily have access to goods, that makes them more dependent on the people that are providing the goods. The less accessible they are, the better it's for the people in power. We've got this collapse coming up by 2030. They're talking about AI and machines will take over 40 to 60% of all jobs across all categories, which means the wealth disparity is going to skyrocket. It's going to be the people who have a lot and the people who have absolutely nothing. And that's the direction that we're going. That's why you see businesses like these closing and stuff like that. They'll say, oh, it's policies, it's the crime policies and stuff like that. All of the crime policies are just put in place so that they can divide us neighborhoods, so that it can devalue certain places. And if you look at all of the places that have the largest issues with these ridiculous crime bills and stuff, they're all concentrated around areas that have large freshwater resources. Don't get me started. I'll be done in here, told a whole story on everybody. Okay. So the fact of the matter is that it's so that they can get a tighter grasp around us, so that we're more dependent on the government. That's why they're over here with all of these spills and explosions and everything, so that they can poison the environment, so you can't live off the environment, so that you can't source water. This is all about driving us into more containment protocols, in which we have two distinct classes of the actual realm of our, what would you call it, socioeconomics, and you can't be upwardly mobile. That's all that it is. At the end of the day, is to basically bend over the American people, and the American people, to Mozzie's credit, are just going along with the daggone nonsense because they're ignorant, and willfully so, of what's actually transpiring.
Okay, so we got all the bank collapsing and the bank crisis and all of that, and we're talking about BRICS and how it may rival the digital dollar, and we're going to have a nationalist, globalist BRICS type of rivalry going on. Let me throw another pebble in the water, though, for us to talk about. Real HD, check out the video.
Now, what do gas stations and Facebook's proposed cryptocurrency Libra have in common? They are two of the biggest reasons why the Federal Reserve is jumping into the world of real-time payments. FedNow is due to launch in the next 4 or 5 years. Yahoo Finance's Brian Chung is here. Brian, what is FedNow?
Well, Brian, have you ever had to try to send money from one bank to another and had to wait 3 to 5 days? The same thing happens even if you try to drop money from your PayPal account into your deposit account. It'll take 3 to 5 days sometimes, and people don't like that friction. I talk to gas station owners and people who have used PayPal. They say they don't understand why this exists. Well, the reason why it exists is because right now there's a little bit of an arcane structure that involves what they call an automated clearinghouse. The abbreviation is the ACH, and that payment requires the clearing that the Federal Reserve does right now to make sure that payments are verified from the receiving and also on the sending end, which is why it requires 3 to 5 days. Sometimes also because on weekends and on bank holidays, the process is closed completely. So the Fed is saying we need to try to narrow that gap, which is why they're trying to address the creation of their own system through what's called FedNow. There are private players in this space right now, but the Fed says that they need to provide a utility that they can provide cheaply and universally to other types of businesses and individuals as well. Again, they do want to release it in 2023, 2024, which would be later than Facebook's proposed concept, which is called Libra. Again, they're trying to target for next year, although they have other regulatory issues to clear.
All right, so you got the Fed releasing their own interconnected web of a banking system right at the same time that all of these major banks are going through all this turmoil, especially, and now we heard about Credit Suisse, right? In Europe. Anybody familiar?
Mm-hmm.
How that bank is
very familiar. So,
and now the Fed is trying to connect all these banks like a web with FedNow. What do you guys think, man? Interconnectedness by accident or not?
You know, it's interesting.
They're trying to collapse. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Brother Mozzie. You got that, Marcus. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's why Ripple was taken to court, because Ripple's programmers had figured it out on how the interconnectivity of all these banks and the interconnectivity of all transactions over the XRP platform and blockchain. So to slow that down, just you take them to court. And what happened? They gave them an opportunity now to build their own. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Right in time when South Dakota and 20 other states were trying to slip the CBDC into their state currency and denounce Bitcoin as a viable money source. Marcus, you go.
So check it out. Here's what's really going on. So you look at SVB, you look at Signature Bank, all of these banks are tied very closely to cryptocurrency. Okay. So Federal Reserve Chairman Powell said, hey, listen, if you own crypto assets, you better get rid of them because it's about to collapse. Janet Yellen said a similar thing. You got, what's his name? Charlie Munger, who's saying that they should make it illegal to have cryptocurrencies, because the whole push the whole time was always to move towards digital currency, because it's easier to have more power and control. They can set expiration dates for your money. So you might think you have money and basically you got nothing better than a coupon. Okay. So you need to wake up. If you ain't awake, you're sleeping. It's a problem. So with what we got going forward with the Fed now, that's just an introduction to digital currency. Okay. For many people. And that's an easier way for the federal government to track and limit your transaction. So we saw it, what happened with Canada, where they were shutting down people's bank accounts because they were out there peacefully protesting. How much more so do you think the government will do if you stand up and you say, hey, I don't agree with what the government does, and now the government has complete control over your money? Now they'll shut you down in one wink of an eye. Okay, that's all that this is about. Goes right back to what I said, the power and control. Okay, they're making it so it's impossible to go up the social strata And this all boils back down to what do you call it? Social credit scores. That's what's really going down.
Here's why they are going after cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is decentralized and you can't control it. But when they institute the new digital currency, they will be able to control every aspect of it. So that's why it was important to destabilize, be it Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all the various cryptos that's been out there for the past 10 plus years. You have to destabilize them so that you can put your own in there, and your own is the one that the digital currency that they're trying to put in place is the digital currency that will keep ties into the ESG that we've talked about, the social credit score.
ESG, yes, sir. ESG, yes, sir. So I wanted to show y'all put one more pebble in the water, see if it reverberates. Here we go.
Yeah, buddy.
Cap or no cap? Because I have something interesting. I have an interesting perspective on this, but is this cap or no cap? I will show the picture again on the screen. And
no cap. It's exactly what we were just talking about. We were talking about BRICS, right? So it's the devaluation of the dollar. So we're about to hit hyperinflation. Realistically, we're already in hyperinflation, but that's a whole separate conversation. It's about to get real bad. And then with the fact that there will be no economic recovery because people won't have jobs. We just saw McDonald's shut down their headquarters today because they're about to announce massive layoffs as they move toward automation of all their stores. People ain't paying attention. You won't have money.
Say that one more time because you were breaking up. Yeah, say that one more time. You were breaking up.
Okay. So real quick to reiterate, I was saying what's going on is we're in the middle of a hyperinflation. They try to say like it's not that bad or whatever, but they keep doing things with Federal Reserve policy and stuff like that. But what we're seeing right now is the dollar is vastly becoming worth less. And you take places like McDonald's, right? McDonald's just shut down their headquarters because they're about to announce massive layoffs as they're moving towards automation. They've already got many stores that are automated already. So this is going to be a whole segment of many industries that people will not be able to get a job in. So they will not be able to have any money. They won't even need you as slaves anymore. That's what the direction that we're going. That's why the dollar will be worth less, right? So play on words there, but that's the direction that we're going. And these will never have an economic recovery, never, because the difference in who has and who hasn't is going to be so vast that you won't be able to move anywhere. No social mobility. That's what we're driving right into. So that's why they want to legalize the prostitution and stuff like that.
Very good take. Your kids. That's a good ending of that take. I like that. I like that end of that take. I do think the degradation of the youth and their sexuality is a function of trying to make or rile up dysfunction within the nuclear family unit. But Brother Mozzie, your take.
Is McDonald's closing because inflation, or is McDonald's closing because the various BRICS nations that manufacture a lot of what we need, they just can't get anymore? Also, we've had about 16 different food processing plants around America get burned down or blow up. So is it a case of the dollar going up, or is it really the result of they ain't got no product and the product is very expensive? That's just the question.
Both. It's both. It's not much of a difference. It goes back to the power and control. If you're not able to go out and get the resources or whatever, it puts the government in control. The government wants this to happen. The people at the top want this to happen so that they can have more power and exert more authority over you. That's all that it is. It's real simple. You can put for whatever. Remember, something can be bad and have multiple positive impacts for other people. That's the direction that they're going. Whatever is good for the people at top, that's why it's going to, that's why they're doing it. And that's, like you said, Mozzie, is it difficult for them to get stuff because all of these plants just magically caught on fire? All these chickens just magically died in a flame where they burnt 100,000 chickens? You understand what I'm saying? The fourth largest chicken plant in the country? Come on now, man. All of these other producers, dude, we've been tracking this for some time, over a year. You know, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of food production processing plants. What'd you say, brother?
I was saying Bill Gates with the Beyond Meat farms.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too.
Remember that Disney movie, Holes? And they found sploosh, and they was eating it.
Say the beginning of what you said again. I think I know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
There was a Disney movie called Holes. And in that movie, Holes, they were eating sploosh.
Yeah.
And then there was another movie. What was the one with the train? The one with the train going around the world during the snow. It was the planet was covered by snow. Snowpiercer. They was eating that green sploosh.
Soylent Green. Soylent Green. Y'all know the movie Soylent Green?
No, I haven't heard of it.
No,
I've heard the movie, never saw the movie.
Ah, man. Soylent Green, it's people. It's people.
I can believe that.
Long story short, post-apocalyptic near future is supposed to take, I want to say it's 2020, that it takes place in complete collapse of society. Basically, climate change has destroyed the planet. So they have basically the haves, the people on the top, and the have-nots who have nothing. And basically what they have is they've created these amazing algae cakes to feed the populace on the bottom, right? When the people on the top still eat all the steaks and goodness. And basically come to find out that it wasn't nothing but people that it was feeding other people. It was out of control. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. That theme has played out in several features over the years with, dystopian world, and you don't know that you're eating other folks. Wolf licking the blade. But I want to go ahead with this statement, man. Are we watching the dollar become worthless? So I'll say this: 1913, 1933, the Nixon era, fiat currency. Wasn't the dollar always worthless?
When they switched over,
But wasn't it America's imprint on the world that gave people the faith behind the dollar?
Mm-hmm.
When has the dollar been? The dollar has been fiat currency for the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, money in the end, when you break it down to the basics, money is only worth the value that you place on it. In other words, if you feel it's worth something, it's going to be worth something.
Now, what did they do? Go ahead, brother. Because
i.e. gold.
Mm-hmm.
i.e. gold. If we go into a dystopian world right now, gold ain't going to do nothing for me. Because what the hell am I going to do with gold?
Now, what did they do with the dollar? What's the symbolisms that they placed on the dollar? It wasn't worth. It's fiat currency.
Do you mean originally?
No, I'm saying as it stands, as the dollar stands right now, that piece of paper, that 33-cent piece of paper that keeps circulating all over the place. And they're trying to get rid of it, but it keeps sticking and staying. What's the symbolisms that's on the dollar bill?
Well, one of them is order through chaos.
Mm-hmm. You got to have faith.
You're talking about
you got to have faith in all the symbols.
You're talking about the all-seeing eye and stuff.
And the ability.
You're talking all the electronic stuff, right?
Represent your interests with all these symbols and signs and epitaphs on it. And if you believe in that's going to help you make your transactions and make your purchases and move your economy forward, Now you got the people captured. Now you got the faith of the people captured in the symbolism, in the religiosity symbolism that is the dollar bill. Think about all of the symbols and all of the logos that's on the dollar bill.
Yeah, it's all very Masonic. It's all very power oriented. It's all the blue bloods. Back to the original part of the conversation, bro. It's the people that control everything at the top of the pyramid, and they out to subjugate everyone. Period.
They got you believing in the symbolism that money will take care of you. That symbol on that money will guide you in your path to success in your life. Not the fact that you can have somebody next door that could cook a mean steak if you need steak, and you got some salt, and y'all could trade and have a livelihood together. Can't believe in that. You got to believe in this thing with all the religiosity symbols on it. You got to put your faith in that. And so did everything else around the world. They put their faith in that. And now these jokers are coming along, and they're telling you that we no longer put our faith in that. We got a new thing popping. So we're going to get ready to close out the show, but I want your final thoughts on what we're talking about. Brother Marcus, you go.
Final thoughts. I usually like to say something positive, unfortunately to Brother Mazi's statement earlier, we don't really have much of a positive way to look at things. I'd say shore up your investments, see what you can do, make yourself useful, because the people that's coming is coming no matter way or how you look at it. And tuck your head between your knees and kiss your hindquarters goodbye.
You wow. Go ahead, Brother Mazi. I like it, but go ahead.
I would say pick up Elijah Muhammad's How to Eat to Live.
Fire.
I would say get Haki Madabuti's book, Enemies, Clash of Races. And you'll be all right. Oh, yeah. And don't forget about the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey. And I think we'll be okay.
Self-sufficiency. Here we go.
I think we'll be okay. Support your black farmers. They're holding on. Support your black farmers.
Shout out to Bernice Atchison in Chucalissa, Alabama.
Chucalissa.
Holding down the black farmers. She was one of the original black farmers that took the U.S. to court for all of the promise breaking of the debt settlement that the U.S. that they won actually, and that they failed to deliver on. So shout out to Bernice Atchison. Shout out to you, Grand Elder, and we see you right now. You're gonna have a lot of people on your doorstep in a minute.
I might have to come down there and work the farm.
Yeah, man. Start putting some value points on all that food you got down there, sis. Because I might come. I might pull up for a sandwich. You know what I mean? Let's go. Just the real man. The higher discussion. We try to throw these things in here at you. These topics that nobody wants to talk about from a melanated black context, so that we say always on the show, what in the world does this have to do with us? So we try to get some people on the show that know a little bit about what they're talking about, but we don't have echo chambers here. It's your voice, your victory on the Real HD show. Join us Wednesday. Like, share, and subscribe. Join the channel on all our various platforms that we're on. Join the channel. Each one bring one. So if you're tuning in, tell your auntie T and tell your little cousin and everybody of an adulting age to tune in, and let's have this difficult but necessary conversation on a higher discussion. And until Wednesday, we say peace and walk with power. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. I hope everybody tunes in. Thanks everybody for their support, all the comments, all of them tuning in. We got Mob Crushers in here heavy again. I'm gonna start screenshotting the Mob Crush stuff because I say it every time, and I got to start putting evidence to what I'm talking about. But we will see you Wednesday, and if Brother Mazi and Brother Marcus come back, we will have another spirited conversation about where we go with everything that's happening in this world right now on the Real HD Show, the High Discussion. Peace, y'all. We out. Thanks for tuning in.